Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new, please make sure to subscribe to stay updated on my second hair transplant journey progress, as well as video topics covering current hair loss treatments. Visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com to purchase your microneedling devices, which are scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level lace therapy cap, hair growth vitamins, DHA blocking shampoo and serum, and a few other products for those who are suffering from hair loss. If you guys are also looking for a good hair transplant clinic, take a look at Motion Clinic in South Korea, which is where I actually got two procedures done via FUE and have had fantastic results. You can reach them via email and get a free online consultation. I'm going to have all of their contact information in the description box below for those who are interested. So a lot of you guys have been asking me to give an update regarding Dr. Tsuji's hair stem cell multiplication research, which would basically be the holy grail for a hair loss cure in both men and women. Dr. Tsuji's hair loss treatment would be the best short-term prospect in curing hair loss, and for the past decade or so, we've all been patiently waiting for an update. And just to give you guys a quick background on Dr. Tsuji's research, it involves taking hair follicle samples from the back of the donor zone and extracting and isolating the mesenchymal and epithelial stem cells. These stem cells are then going to be cultured in a lab to generate an infinite number of hair follicles, which would then be implanted into hair loss areas using methods similar to current hair transplantation practices. We also know that Dr. Tsuji has exclusive partnerships with several reputable Japanese companies, including Rogaine, Organ Technologies, and Kyocera, where they actually plan to establish cell culture and transplant technologies and develop devices for transplantation, aiming to put the technologies into practical use for the treatment of androgenic alopecia in 2020 in Japan. Now, the great thing about all of this is that this is happening in Japan, where they actually have a new fast track for approval of cell-based procedures like Dr. Tsuji's, usually after just one successful human clinical trial. Kyocera would be responsible for the development of cell processing devices, whereas Rogaine and Organ Technologies would focus on development of stem cell culture and amplification technologies, development of cell manipulation, establishment of production processes, and implementation of preclinical trials. So the goal of Kyocera is to become the commissioned manufacturer for this method through cooperation with Organ Technologies and through these joint research partnerships. The ultimate goal is to pave the way for commercial viability within research period of 2 years. So it's obvious that each company nevertheless plays a pivotal role for the development and progression of Dr. Tsuji's research in terms of a hair loss cure. Now, a few months back in August, we had Dr. Tsuji, who gave out an online presentation through Zoom, where he discussed about organ regeneration by self-organization of stem cells. And fortunately for us, we had the Japanese YouTuber named Youngjet, who was able to attend the lecture and provide us with information. He advised that after approval by the Commission for Specified Accredited Regenerative Medicine, Dr. Tsuji is going to begin human clinical trials, and he also speculates approval is expected to happen sometime this year, and stated that Dr. Tsuji expects the human clinical trials to finally commence in either the end of this year or starting in 2021. I will say that while the YouTuber Youngjet has provided us with vital information in the past, we also need to take it with a grain of salt, because it wouldn't always make sense that Dr. Tsuji or his associates would simply feed him information, inside information to share with us without making any official statements. But so far, he has been a reliable source, and until otherwise proven, it's also helpful to have somebody who lives in Japan and also speaks a language that can provide us with different types of translations. So far, there has not been any updates in terms of human clinical trials, even commencing, as I mentioned. And after emails that were sent to Dr. Tsuji previously by myself for any updates, I have yet to receive a response from Rogaine or any of the partnerships. Now, in April, we were also surprised with the news from Organ Technologies that Dr. Tsuji had resigned from the director position and took office as an advisor. There also was no official statement as far as why Dr. Tsuji resigned from his director position, but we can only speculate that he could have done this to advising his partnerships for business and marketing purposes, or some even suggest he has done this to bypass conflict of interest regarding financial loss in Japan. At this point, nothing is for sure, and this is purely speculation from my part. The problem that we now have is that recent news from October 23 from Kobe Keizai News magazine revealed that one of Dr. Tsuji's partnerships, Organ Technologies, has apparently suspended their business, and investments within the company was recorded as an extraordinary loss, as a loss of valuation of investment securities. This is bad because business struggles, significant debt, and legal liabilities can definitely put not just Organ Technologies, but many other biotech and pharma pharmaceutical companies at high risk of declaring bankruptcy. So at this point, as we are kind of connecting the dots, Dr. Tsuji may have resigned from his director position with Organ Technologies back in April, fully knowing very well the poor financial health of Organ Technologies and the potential tension between the partnerships that were never officially addressed. This is obviously not the news that we want to hear, because Organ Technologies, along with Rogaine and Dr. Tsuji, these two were managing the hair stem cell culturing and manipulation technology, as well as implementation of preclinical trials. So this, in addition to the ongoing pandemic, would definitely slow things down as far as progression for a hair loss cure in the near future. But the good news is that Rogaine has still continued to press forward, as Dr. Tsuji and his hair growth research was featured in a local Japanese television broadcast this month in November, which is another good indication that not all has failed. Dr. Tsuji also still maintains good relations with Rogaine, which is Japan's largest comprehensive research institution, renowned for high quality research, and they also received the bulk of its funding from the Japanese government. So partnerships with Rogaine and Coursera are still strong, and there hasn't been any indication of rumors that Dr. Tsuji's research has failed. A lot of the negative rumors that you guys are hearing are all unsubstantiated, and until we receive official updates from one of the partnerships, I would have to assume that the human clinical trials will still be commencing in the near future, hopefully in 2020 or 2021. Now, knowing that Organ Technology has ceased business, whether it's permanent or temporary, and potentially on the brink of bankruptcy, I think that Dr. Tsuji stepped down from the director position, fully knowing the consequences of the duties oftentimes associated with the director position. Directors for any corporate company need to consider the interest of the organization's other stakeholders, including its creditors. And as far as I know, some states hold directors liable to creditors for breach of fiduciary duty if they don't act in a way that allows the company to service its debt. It's up to the director oftentimes in many companies to quickly take stock of the situation while being able to balance the potentially competing interests of shareholders and creditors. Many oftentimes step down to a different position, like in the case of Dr. Tsuji, who instead of just completely resigning, he took on the role of advisor, potentially to avoid derogation of duty. And being the lead researcher for a hair loss cure, I think it would have put his position at too much at stake. So stepping down to a different position for Dr. Tsuji was a safer route for him to mitigate risk on his part. And according to Hair Loss Cure 2020's blog, Dr. Tsuji, Rogaine, and Coursera's team patent was just updated with an April 2020 filing date, just days after Dr. Tsuji resigned from his director position with Organ Technologies. But they are still listed in the patent as co-inventors, so hopefully things between them, between the partnerships, will resolve, and that Organ Technologies will continue to their research activities. As far as I know, Dr. Tsuji is still working with Organ Technologies, and they are still maintaining partnerships. We have absolutely no updates from Organ Technologies, and when I actually checked their website the other day, it was actually down under maintenance, which also is not a good sign either. But other than that, there really hasn't been much of a real update, just speculation from my part on what I believe transpired between Dr. Tsuji and Organ Technologies. This definitely is going to put the pull the brakes in terms of a closer date for human clinical trials, since all of the partnerships with Dr. Tsuji, Rogaine, Organ Technologies, Coursera are all intertwined, and they have their own role in terms of development research. But I do like to remain optimistic, and hopefully things get better and that we receive news for human clinical trials sooner than later. And I also do have to say that over the years, there's been a lot of companies that have looked promising in the beginning, with incredible breakthrough findings in hair loss research and potential cures that drag on for years of research until we finally start approaching the clinical trial dates. And that's when communication kind of gets vague, and all of a sudden the companies just kind of stops responding to emails, correspondence, and just simply vanishes. No proof of concept, nothing like that. So hopefully Dr. Tsuji and his research doesn't fall into this path, and I personally don't suspect this happening. But like I said, nothing is guaranteed, and with each hurdle that is thrown, as it was with Organ Technologies, a cure for hair loss always seems to be pushed further and further back. I guess the thing to really learn from this is that if you guys are losing hair, don't wait for any treatments like Dr. Tsuji or Stemson's hair multiplication or anything else that's currently in the works. Get on 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride or dutasteride, or anti-androgens, or try RU58841, and follow proven hair loss treatment regimens like Minoxidil, laser therapy, microneedling in the meantime. Even if a cure were to happen, we're looking at potentially the price of it being in the six-figure range until years go by to bring the cost down, let alone at least a few years before it even commercializes, if it even gets to that point. Don't wait, be proactive with proven treatment. But that's all I have for today, guys. That's all the updates that I have as far as I know from Dr. Tsuji. Let me know if you guys have heard anything otherwise. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen with Dr. Tsuji, along with Organ Technologies and the ongoing research as far as hair loss cure. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Take care.